The suitcase exploded open like a bomb going off. Clothes, diapers, toys, and baby bottles scattered across the shiny airport floor as two people crashed into each other with a force that sent them both stumbling. A little girl's cry pierced through the noise of the busy airport as her mother hit the ground hard, her hands shaking as she desperately tried to gather their belongings. "Mommy!" the 3-year-old wailed, her tiny arms reaching out. The man who had collided with them stood frozen, his expensive suit wrinkled, his perfectly styled hair now messy. His phone lay cracked on the floor beside a pink stuffed elephant. For a moment, time seemed to stop as their eyes met, his filled with shock, hers with pure terror. But this wasn't just any ordinary accident. 3 hours earlier, Marcus Wellington III adjusted his diamond cufflinks for the third time as his black limousine pulled up to the private jet terminal. At 28, he was worth more money than most people could count, but his heart felt emptier than his bank account was full. Another business meeting, another city, another fake smile, he muttered to himself, checking his solid gold watch. His flight to Dubai was in 30 minutes, and this deal would make him even richer. Not that it mattered anymore. Marcus had everything money could buy: mansions, cars, yachts, and jets. But he had learned a painful lesson over the years. Every woman who claimed to love him only loved his wallet. The last one, Rebecca, had been the worst. She had pretended to care for 6 months, even talked about marriage, before he caught her selling stories about him to magazines and planning to take half his fortune. Never again, he had promised himself. My heart is closed for business. As he walked through the airport, people stared and whispered. Some took secret photos. Being one of the youngest billionaires in the world meant privacy was a luxury even his money couldn't always buy. Meanwhile, across town, Zara Johnson's hands trembled as she threw the last of her daughter's clothes into an old suitcase. Her lip was still swollen from yesterday's beating, and purple bruises covered her arms like ugly paintings she couldn't wash off. "Lily, baby, we need to go now," she whispered to her 3-year-old daughter, who was playing with her worn teddy bear on the bed. "But Daddy said he'd take me to the park," Lily said with innocent eyes that broke Zara's heart. Zara's chest tightened. How could she explain that Daddy wasn't really Daddy, and that the man Lily called father was the same man who had turned their home into a nightmare? For 3 years, Zara had lived with Derek, believing his promises that he would change. He had seemed so different when they first met. Charming, funny, protective. But after Lily was born, something dark had awakened in him. The drinking got worse. The hitting started. The cruel words became daily torture. Last night had been the final straw. Derek had come home drunk again, angry about losing money gambling. When Zara asked him to be quiet because Lily was sleeping, he had grabbed her throat and slammed her against the wall. "You don't tell me what to do in my house," he had screamed, his breath reeking of alcohol. "Maybe I should teach that little brat some manners too." The threat against Lily had shattered something inside Zara. She had pretended to fall asleep, waiting until Derek passed out drunk on the couch. Then she had quietly packed their few belongings, taken the emergency money she had been secretly saving for months, and booked the cheapest flight she could find to her sister's city. Now, looking at her reflection in the cracked mirror, Zara barely recognized herself. The confident, bright woman she used to be had been replaced by someone who jumped at every sound, who wore long sleeves even in summer to hide the bruises. But today was different. Today, she was choosing freedom. "Come on, sweetheart," she said, picking up Lily in the heavy suitcase. "We're going on an airplane adventure." At the airport, Zara's heart pounded like drums in her chest as she hurried through the airport. Every few seconds, she looked over her shoulder, terrified that Derek might appear. He was probably still passed out, but fear made her imagine his angry face in every crowd. The suitcase felt heavier with each step. Lily was getting cranky and kept asking for snacks they couldn't afford. Zara had exactly $43 left after buying their tickets, and she needed to make it last until they reached her sister. "Mommy, I'm tired," Lily whined, rubbing her eyes. "I know, baby. Just a little more walking, and then we'll sit on the big airplane," Zara said, trying to sound cheerful while her insides churned with panic. That's when she heard it, the sound that made her blood turn to ice. Her phone was ringing. Derek's name flashed on the cracked screen. He was awake. He knew they were gone. Zara's hands shook so badly she almost dropped Lily. Without thinking, she spun around to look behind her, searching the crowds for Derek's angry face. She was so focused on looking backward that she didn't see where she was going. Marcus Wellington was practically jogging through the terminal, his phone pressed to his ear as his assistant updated him on stock prices. He was running late, something that never happened to someone as organized as him. Buy another 50,000 shares of, he was saying when something slammed into him with surprising force. The impact sent his phone flying. His briefcase hit the ground, and right in front of him, a young black woman and her small daughter tumbled to the floor in the explosion of scattered belongings. For a moment, Marcus was angry. His first instinct was to complain about people not watching where they were going. But then he saw the woman's face. She wasn't just embarrassed or annoyed. She was terrified. Her eyes darted around like a hunted animal, and her hands shook as she scrambled to gather spilled diapers and tiny clothes. The little girl was crying, reaching for a stuffed elephant that had slid across the floor. Something about the woman's fear made Marcus forget about his own problems. "I'm so sorry," the woman gasped, not even looking at him as she stuffed items back into her broken suitcase. "Please, I have to go, I have to—" Her phone rang again. When she saw the name on the screen, the color drained from her face completely. Marcus watched as pure terror filled her eyes. And in that moment, despite all his walls and all his promises to never trust again, something deep inside him recognized a fellow wounded soul. The phone kept ringing, and the woman looked like she might faint from fear. That's when Marcus Wellington III, billionaire who trusted no one, made a decision that would change everything. Marcus didn't think. He acted. In one swift movement, he knelt down beside the terrified woman and gently took her phone from her shaking hands. Without hesitation, he answered the call. "Hello," Marcus said in his coldest, most powerful voice, the tone that made billion-dollar deals happen and enemies back down. "Who the hell is this?" Derek's angry voice exploded through the phone so loudly that people nearby turned to stare. "Where's Zara? Put her on the phone now." "Zara is busy," Marcus replied calmly, standing up to his full height, "and she doesn't want to talk to you." "Listen here, you piece of—" Click. Marcus hung up and immediately turned off the phone. The woman, Zara, stared at him with wide eyes, her mouth hanging open. For a moment, she looked like she couldn't believe what had just happened. You hung up on him," she whispered. "Yes," Marcus said simply, then knelt back down to help gather her things. "And now we need to get you somewhere safe." Little Lily had stopped crying and was watching this strange man with curious eyes. When Marcus handed her the stuffed elephant, she hugged it tight and gave him a tiny smile. "Thank you," Zara said, but her voice was still shaky. "But you don't understand. Derek will be so angry. He'll find us. He always finds a way to—" "Not today," Marcus said firmly. "What's your flight number?" Zara told him, and Marcus checked his own ticket. His eyes widened slightly. "We're on the same flight," he said. "Seat 12C and 12D. "You're going to Dubai too?" Zara asked, surprised. Marcus looked at his first-class ticket, then at her economy seats in the very back of the plane. Without thinking twice, he made another decision that surprised even himself. "Change of plans," he said. "You're sitting with me in first class." 20 minutes later. "Sir, I understand you want to help, but airline policy clearly states," the gate agent was saying nervously. "I bought every first-class seat on this flight," Marcus interrupted, sliding his black credit card across the counter. "That means I can decide who sits where. Please upgrade Ms. Johnson and her daughter to seats 1A and 1B. The agent's eyes bulged when she saw his card, the kind that only the super-rich carried. She quickly processed the upgrade without another word. Zara stood beside him in shock. "You bought the entire first-class section? Just for us?" "I didn't want you to worry about unwanted company," Marcus said, glancing around the terminal. He had noticed how Zara jumped every time a tall man walked past. As they walked toward the boarding gate, Lily tugging on Marcus's expensive suit jacket, Zara felt something she hadn't experienced in years: safety. This stranger, this billionaire stranger, was protecting her without asking for anything in return. But her phone buzzed with a text message that made her stomach drop. The message was from Derek. "I'm coming to get you, and when I find you, you'll wish you never tried to leave me." Marcus noticed her face go pale. "What is it?" Zara showed him the message with trembling hands. Marcus's jaw tightened. He took out his own phone and made a quick call. "James, it's Marcus. I need a favor. There's a man named Derek who's threatening someone under my protection. I'm sending you his number. Make sure he understands that would be a very bad idea. Yes, the kind of understanding that involves lawyers and restraining orders. Thanks." He hung up and turned to Zara. "My security team will handle it. Derek won't be bothering you anymore." "Why are you helping me?" Zara asked, tears forming in her eyes. "You don't even know me." Marcus was quiet for a moment. How could he explain that her fear reminded him of his own? That seeing someone so broken made him want to fix something, even if he couldn't fix himself? "Because," he said finally, "everyone deserves to be safe." On the plane, first class was like a different world. Zara had never seen seats so big or food so fancy. Lily was amazed by everything: the warm towels, the juice in real glasses, the flight attendant who brought her coloring books. "Mommy, is this man a prince?" Lily whispered loudly, making Marcus smile despite himself. "Something like that," Zara said, watching as Marcus patiently helped Lily color a picture of an airplane. As the plane took off, Zara felt her body relax for the first time in months. The steady hum of the engines, the comfortable seat, the knowledge that Derek couldn't reach her here, it all combined to make her incredibly sleepy. She tried to stay awake, not wanting to burden this kind stranger with her daughter, but her eyes felt so heavy. "Rest," Marcus said gently, noticing her struggle. "I'll watch Lily." "But you don't have to." "I want to," Marcus said, and he meant it. When was the last time someone had needed his help for something real? Something that mattered more than money? Zara's eyes closed, and within minutes, she was asleep. For the first time in 3 years, she slept without fear. Marcus found himself studying her peaceful face. Even with the fading bruises, she was beautiful. But more than that, there was something strong about her. Something that had survived despite everything she'd been through. "Is Mommy okay?" Lily asked quietly. "She's just very tired," Marcus said. "She's been taking care of you all by herself, hasn't she?" Lily nodded seriously. "Daddy Derek was mean to Mommy. He made her cry a lot." Marcus felt anger burn in his chest. How could anyone hurt someone so gentle, someone who was just trying to protect her child? "Well," Marcus said, adjusting Lily's blanket, "your Mommy is very brave, and now you're both safe." For the next few hours, Marcus found himself doing something he'd never done before: taking care of a child. He helped Lily eat her meal, read her stories, and even sang a silly song when she got restless. The other passengers stared in amazement. Marcus Wellington III, the cold billionaire who never smiled in public, was playing peekaboo with a 3-year-old and seeming to enjoy every minute of it. But as the plane began its descent into Dubai, Marcus felt a strange sadness. In a few hours, they would land. Zara would take her daughter to her sister's house, and he would go back to his empty hotel room and his lonely life. For the first time in years, Marcus didn't want to be alone. That's when the captain's voice came over the intercom with an announcement that made Marcus's blood run cold. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just received word that due to severe weather conditions, all flights out of Dubai have been canceled for the next 48 hours. The airport hotels are also completely booked due to the delays." Marcus looked at Zara, who was just waking up, and then at little Lily, who was starting to get cranky again. They were stranded, together, and something told Marcus that the next 48 hours would change all their lives forever. "Mommy, where are we going to sleep?" Lily asked, rubbing her tired eyes as they stood in the crowded Dubai airport. Zara's heart sank as she looked around at hundreds of stranded passengers. She had exactly $27 left, and her sister was expecting them tomorrow, not in 2 days. The cheap hotel room she couldn't afford seemed impossible now. I don't know, baby," Zara admitted, fighting back tears. They had come so far, only to be stuck again. Marcus watched her struggle and made his third life-changing decision in one day. "You're staying with me," he said simply. "What?" Zara stared at him. "I couldn't possibly." "I have the presidential suite at the Burj Al Arab," Marcus said. "It has 3 bedrooms, a full kitchen, and a play area. Lily would love it." "But that must cost thousands of dollars a night," Zara protested. Marcus smiled, the first real smile he'd had in months. "Money isn't everything. Trust me, I learned that the hard way." An hour later, Zara found herself in the most beautiful hotel room she'd ever seen. The suite was bigger than the apartment she'd shared with Derek, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the sparkling ocean and golden desert. Lily ran around in circles, amazed by everything. "Mommy, there's a TV in the bathroom, and look, a bed just for me." For the first time in years, Zara laughed, really laughed. The sound was so beautiful that Marcus stopped what he was doing just to listen. In the evening, "You don't have to cook," Marcus said, watching Zara prepare a simple dinner in the suite's fancy kitchen. "We could order anything you want from room service." "I like cooking," Zara said, stirring pasta sauce. "It makes me feel normal. Besides, Lily is picky about food." Marcus had never watched someone cook with such care and love. In his world, food came from expensive restaurants or personal chefs. But there was something magical about Zara humming softly as she made dinner, something that made the huge suite feel like a home. "Marcus!" Lily called from the living room. "Come play blocks with me!" As they built a tower together, Lily chattered about everything and nothing. "When I grow up, I want to be a pilot so I can fly in the sky every day. Do you have kids, Marcus?" "No," Marcus said quietly. "I don't." "Why not?" Marcus looked over at Zara, who was watching them with soft eyes. "I guess I never found the right person to have kids with." "Mommy doesn't have a husband either," Lily said matter-of-factly. "Daddy Derek wasn't nice, but you're nice. Maybe you could be my new daddy." The innocent words hit both adults like lightning. Zara's cheeks turned red, and Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. "Lily," Zara said gently, "Marcus has his own life. We can't just—" "But I like him," Lily protested. "He makes you smile, Mommy. You don't smile when Daddy Derek is around." That night, after Lily fell asleep in her princess-themed bedroom, Marcus and Zara sat on the balcony under the stars. "I'm sorry about what Lily said," Zara began. "She doesn't understand." "She's a smart kid," Marcus interrupted. "Maybe too smart." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the city lights twinkle below. "Can I ask you something?" Zara said finally. "Why don't you trust women? I mean, you're rich, handsome, kind. You could have anyone." Marcus was quiet for so long that Zara thought he wouldn't answer. Then he told her about Rebecca, about the other women who had used him, about how he'd built walls around his heart. "I thought all women were the same," he admitted. "Until today." "What changed?" Zara asked softly. Marcus turned to look at her. "You did. You're running away with nothing but a broken suitcase and $27, and you're still worried about being a burden to me. You're not after my money, Zara. You're just trying to survive." Zara felt tears in her eyes. "I never told you how much money I had left." "I saw you counting it at the airport," Marcus said gently. "And I watched you try to refuse my help, even when you desperately needed it." The next day, Marcus had planned to work during their stranded time, but instead he found himself having the best day he'd had in years. They spent the morning at the hotel's private beach, where Lily built sandcastles while Marcus and Zara talked about everything, their dreams, their fears, their childhoods. Zara told him about her plans to become a nurse, a dream Derek had crushed by isolating her from school and friends. "You could still do that," Marcus said. "It's not too late." "With what money?" Zara laughed sadly. "I can barely afford groceries." "Money doesn't have to be a problem," Marcus said carefully. "If you wanted, I could—" "No," Zara said firmly. "I won't take charity. I need to do this myself." Marcus admired her independence even as he wanted to solve all her problems. He was learning that love wasn't about having all the answers. It was about supporting someone as they found their own way. That afternoon, they went to the hotel's kids club, where Lily played with other children while Marcus and Zara watched from nearby chairs. "She's so happy," Zara said, watching her daughter laugh and play without fear. "I'd forgotten what her laugh sounded like." "You saved her," Marcus said. "You were brave enough to leave, even when you had nothing." "I was terrified," Zara admitted. "I still am. What if Derek finds us? What if I can't take care of her on my own? What if—" Marcus took her hand. "You're not alone anymore." The simple words made Zara's heart race. When was the last time someone had made her feel protected instead of afraid? That evening, as they sat down for another home-cooked meal, Marcus's phone rang. It was his assistant with news about Derek. "He's been arrested," Marcus told Zara after hanging up. Apparently, when my security team looked into him, they found he had outstanding warrants for theft and assault. He won't be bothering anyone for a long time." Zara burst into tears, not sad tears, but tears of pure relief. For 3 years, she had lived in fear. Now, suddenly, she was free. Marcus held her as she cried, and for the first time in his life, he felt like his money had been used for something truly important. 6 months later, the wedding was small and beautiful, held in Marcus's garden with only close friends and family. Zara wore a simple white dress that made her look like an angel, and Lily was the flower girl, giggling as she scattered petals down the aisle. "Do you, Marcus Wellington, take Zara to be your wife?" the minister asked. "I do," Marcus said, looking into the eyes of the woman who had taught him that love wasn't about money or appearances. It was about finding someone who saw your heart and loved it anyway. "Do you, Zara Johnson, take Marcus to be your husband?" "I do," Zara said, thinking about how far they'd all come. She was halfway through nursing school now, which Marcus supported by taking care of Lily in the evenings. He had learned to braid hair, read bedtime stories, and make the world's best grilled cheese sandwiches. "You may kiss the bride." As they kissed, Lily cheered from the front row. "Yay! Now Marcus is really my daddy." Marcus picked up his new daughter and spun her around while she giggled. Then he pulled Zara into their hug, creating a perfect family circle. "I love you both so much," he whispered. "We love you too, Daddy Marcus," Lily said, using the name she'd invented for him. Looking back, Marcus realized that the best investment he'd ever made wasn't in stocks or real estate or business deals. It was in love. And unlike money, love only grew when you shared it. Zara had learned that not all men were like Derek. Some men built you up instead of tearing you down. Some men saw your strength instead of trying to break it. And Lily? She learned that families could be made from love, not just blood. That sometimes the best daddies were the ones who chose to love you. The collision at the airport that had started with scattered belongings and tears had led to something beautiful, a family built on trust, respect, and unconditional love. Sometimes the most broken people find each other at exactly the right moment, and together they become whole. Sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with the messiest collisions. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. We read every comment.